how to pass arguments to my Python function with the Python operator, how to get the execution date from my Python operator, how can I share data with the Python operator. Well, guess what? All of those questions, you are going to find the answers in that video. Welcome, my name is Mark Lamarty, I'm the head of customer training at Astronomer. My goal is to make sure that you truly understand Airflow and get the most out of it. So in the next 20 minutes, you are going to discover everything you need about the most widely used operator, the Python operator. So without further ado, let's get started. As I strongly believe in learning by doing, you can do exactly what I'm going to show you on your computer by following the link in the description below. And I strongly advise you to do that because it is the best way to learn. So that being said, what is exactly the Python operator? So the Python operator is the operator allowing you to execute a Python callable. What is a Python callable? It is anything that has the callable method in it. For example, a Python function. You want to execute a Python function, you can do it with the Python operator. You want to execute a Python script, you can do it with the Python operator. That's it about the Python operator. Keep in mind, with the Python operator, you can execute a Python callable. Now let's see it in action. So first you have to create your DAG. So in the folder DAGs, right there, create a new file and let's call it my_dag.py. Then type from Airflow import DAG, instantiate a DAG object with DAG, a DAG ID, my_dag, a start date, start_date equals to a datetime object. Let's put 2021-11, a schedule interval equals to daily, like that, and the catcher parameter equals to false as DAG. Okay, you need to import the datetime object as well, so type from datetime import datetime. Perfect, so at this point you have your data pipeline ready. Now let's say you want to execute a Python function. How can you do that? By using the Python operator. First, you need to import the Python operator, and as it is built in Airflow 2.0, you don't have to install any provider for it. So right there, you type from airflow.operators.python import Python operator. Now you have the Python operator, you can use it. Right below, under the DAG object, type task_a equals to the Python operator, a task ID, let's say task_a as well, and a Python callable. So right there, you type Python_callable, and you have to pass a callable, a Python callable. In that case, you can create a function. So let's create a function just above the DAG object, def_process, and let's say print process done, like that. Copy _process and paste it there. Save the file and you are done. With that Python operator, you are going to execute the function, the Python function _process, and so print process done on the standard output. Let's verify this. In your terminal, make sure that you are in the folder demo and type the command docker-compose up-d in order to start your Airflow instance. Hit enter and let's wait a little bit. Perfect, Airflow is up and running. If you go to your web browser and type localhost:8080, then Airflow, as you can see, you land on the beautiful user interface of Airflow. From there, you can click on My DAG, then Graph View, turn on the toggle to schedule your DAG, refresh the page. As you can see, the task A has been completed. Click on it, click on log, and if you carefully take a look at the logs, you can see the message process done. So that's how you can execute a Python function. It is as simple as that. Now, another thing you might want is to simulate a failure in your task on purpose. Why? Let's say you would like to test how the next task behaves according to if that task_a fails. Well, you can do that by just adding a very simple instruction in your Python function. So if you go back to your code and right there type exit 1 or actually any other number than 0, then save the file and go back to the user interface, then click on Graph View, click on the task and click on Clear in order to restart the task, click on OK, refresh the page, and as you can see, this time the task ends up in failure. So that's how you can modify the status of your Python operator if you want. Again, this is really useful for testing and debugging purposes. Next, what if you want to pass some arguments to your Python function? For example, a file name or a path. How can you do that? Let's discover how to do it. Go back to your code editor and you have two ways of passing arguments to your Python function, to underscore process. The first way is by using op_args. op_args expects a list of arguments, and this list of arguments will be positional arguments. Let me show you this. Right there, let's put a file name, so data.txt, and then a path, /user/local/airflow. Then to get those arguments in your Python function, you just need to pass them in parameter. So right there, you can type file name and path. Then remove exit 1 and print process file name and path, or actually the other way around. So path first and file name, like that, with a little f, and let's see if it works. So save the file, and in your terminal, type docker ps, then copy the container ID of Airflow, let's say the scheduler, type docker exec -it, the container ID of Airflow, /bin/bash. Hit enter. Now you are inside the Docker container of Airflow. You can execute the command airflow tasks test my_dag, the DAG ID, the task ID of the task that you want to check, task_a, and an execution date in the past. Let's say the 1st of January 2021, -01-01. That command is a best practice. I strongly advise you to always test your task first before triggering your DAG. It is really a best practice. So hit enter and let's see if it works. And as you can see from the output right there, you obtain process the path and the file name, then done. So that's how you can pass positional arguments. You have to be careful with that, because if you change, like let's say path here and file name here, then test again, as you can see, this time the path is equal to the file name and the file name is equal to the path. So that's why you have to be careful with op_args. But that's why also there is another way to pass arguments, which is op_keywords. With op_keywords, you are going to pass keywords arguments. So you don't care about the order in which you pass your arguments anymore. That's why it is really useful. Let me show you this. Here, instead of having op_args, let's put keywords. Then create a dictionary this time. And let's say for the data.txt, the key is file name. And for the path, obviously, the key is path. Put path like that. Okay, so you have this dictionary. And try the task again. As you can see, this time you obtain the path first and the file. The keys you specified in the dictionary are automatically matched with the name of the parameters you have right there. So that's why it works whatever the order you give for your op keywords argument, which wasn't the case with op_args. So in my opinion, I strongly advise you to stick with op_keywords because it is cleaner, and also you don't have to take a look at your Python function to understand what's going on. You can just put a meaningful key, and then just by looking at the Python operator, you know what each argument is. So that's why I strongly advise you to use op_keyworks. Now there is something else that you have to know about op_args and op_keyworks. Those two arguments are actually templated arguments, which means you can pass dynamic values into those arguments. Let's say the file name or the path can change over time. So instead of pushing a new data pipeline or changing the code of your data pipeline each time the file name or the path change, you can leverage variables. That's what you are going to do right now. So your goal now is to pass variables instead of hard coding values for the file name and the path. So let's do this. Go to the user interface of Airflow and click on admin variables. Right there, add a new record, and let's create a new key file name. The value airflow.txt. Like that. Click on save. Create another variable. Let's call it path, and let's say /opt/airflow this time. Click on save. And now you have your two variables, file name and path. Your goal is to get them and path them as arguments of your Python function. So go to your code, and right there, instead of having data.txt, you can use the template engine of Airflow to pass dynamically the variable. So here, a pair of curly brackets, like that. You put var.value.filename, and then same for the path, right there, a pair of curly brackets, var.value.path. Like that. Save the file, run the task again, and as you can see, you obtain for the path /opt airflow, and the file name is airflow.txt. So at this point, you are able to pass the variables dynamically into your Python function. And the good thing is, if the path or the file name change, well, you just have to change the variable values and not your code. That being said, you can do better. Indeed, instead of having file name and path, you could create only one variable and path directly the variable for op_keyworks. Let me show you this. Go back to the user interface of Airflow and remove those variables. Click on Actions and click on Delete. Okay? Add a new record, and let's call it my_dag _ let's say settings. Here, create a JSON value with the key file name and the value airflow.txt. Then a path with the value /opt/airflow/. Like that. Click on save. So you have your variable with this time a JSON value, and notice that the variable is prefixed with my_dag, and this is the best practice. I strongly advise you to always prefix your variables according to where they are used with the DAG ID. This will save you a lot of time when you will have hundreds of different variables. Go back to your code, and here, instead of having this dictionary, you can just remove it, then type variable.get, the variable key, my_dag_settings, and the parameter deserialize_JSON equals to true. Obviously, as you use the variable object, you need to import it. So right there, type from airflow.models import variable. And by doing this, you pass the arguments path and file name from only one variable, which is in fact a JSON value. That means you are going to make only one request to the database, and so it is better optimized. Also, all the values that are shared the same logic, the same meaning, they are put into a single variable. So this is much cleaner as well. Let's verify if it works. Save the file, and in your terminal, run the task again. Hit enter, and as you can see, again, you obtain /opt/airflow and the file name airflow.txt. but this time it is much better. Okay, here is something that will save you a lot of time and will make your DAG much cleaner. Instead of putting your Python function into the DAG file, you should always try to put your Python functions out of the DAG file. Why? Because you will end up with many Python functions, and so the clearer is your DAG file, the better. How to do that? It's really simple. Just go into the folder includes and create another folder, let's say my_DAG. Then a file, let's call it functions.py. And again, this file is in the folder my_DAG. Right there, you just have to go back to your DAG, copy that Python function, like that, and in functions.py, paste the function, remove the underscore, save the file, go back to your DAG, make the import, type from includes.my_DAG.functions import process. Remove the underscore from the Python callable, save the file, run the task again, and as you can see, you obtain the exact same output, but this time your DAG file is much cleaner. So as a best practice, always put the Python functions out of your DAG file. And now you are at the last step of the video, but this step is actually one of the most important ones. Indeed, what if you want to share data with the Python operator? In that case, you will need to call the method xcom_push. But how can you do that in Airflow 2.0? Or how can you get the execution date of your current DAG run if you want to get some data corresponding to the current execution date of your DAG? How can you do that? Indeed, back in the day with Airflow 1.10.x, you had this parameter provide_context, like that you set to true in order to get the context and so access all the information you need to either share data between your tasks or get the current execution date. But now with Airflow 2.0, you don't have this parameter anymore. So how can you do that? Well, it's pretty simple actually. Instead of having to set that parameter, you can go to your function, and right there, you only have to specify the key from the context dictionary corresponding to the information you want. For example, you want to access the task instance object to share data between your tasks, you can type ti. And then in your Python function, you can call ti.xcom_push like that. You don't have to do context and square brackets, then ti like before. But obviously you have to know the keys of the context dictionary. So how can you know those keys? Well, it's pretty simple again. You can remove this, and here instead of having ti, you can just unpack all the parameters that are given by default to your Python function corresponding to the context dictionary. So here, if you type 2 stars and context, then print the context like that, then save the file, and in your terminal, execute the task again. As you can see right there, you obtain all the information, all the parameters that are given by default to your Python function. So as you can see, you have the key conf, the key DAG if you want to access the DAG object. You can also access the DAG run, DS corresponding to the execution date, but this time with the datetime object. So I strongly advise you to take a look at this context dictionary. It is really important to know what you have in it and what you can do with all of those parameters, all of those values. Another example, you want to access your data according to the current execution date. Well, you can remove context here and put DS. Then here, let's type for the execution date DS. Let's remove that instruction, save the file, retry the task, and as you can see from the output, you get the current execution date, the 1st of January 2021. It is as simple as that, and that's how you can access the context values in Airflow 2.0 with the Python operator. Alright, I would like to give you a quick bonus for you. Do you know the TaskFlow API? Do you know the new way of creating your DAGs in Airflow 2.0? If you don't, I strongly advise you to take a look at the link in the description below. You will see the TaskFlow API and why it is so important for you to know it. It is just mind-blowing. But let me give you a quick taste of it. Right there, import a special decorator. So type from airflow.decorators import task. Then put the decorator like that, just above process. Remove those parameters and type params, for example, and let's print params. Then save the file. So this is your Python function now. If you go back to your DAG, instead of calling the Python operator with the task ID and so on, copy this, the variable, remove the Python operator, call process, then path the variable in parameter, save the file, and that's it. You are doing the exact same thing as before, but with less code, which is much cleaner than before. And that's why the TaskFlow API is so powerful, and that's why I truly believe that it will be the new way of creating your DAGs pretty soon. So if you save the file right now, and you can actually remove the Python operator here, you don't have to import it anymore, it is automatically done for you by Airflow. So if you save the file and in your terminal execute the task again, as you can see, you end up with an error. Why? Because task_a is not found. Indeed, you don't specify the task ID anymore, but how can you do it with the TaskFlow API? It is pretty simple. You just have to add a parameter to the task decorator, task_id equals to task_a, like that. Save the file, try again, and as you can see, it works, and you get the file name and the path. So that was the TaskFlow API. I strongly advise you to take a look at it. It is just amazing. It is just amazing. You will create your DAGs much faster than before. That's it about the Python operator. Now you know everything you need in order to fully use it in your DAGs. You have discovered how to execute a Python function, which was pretty obvious. Then you learned how to pass arguments and keywords arguments to your Python function. You have discovered how to inject data at runtime, so to fetch a variable from the metadatabase of Airflow and pass that variable as an argument of your Python function. You have discovered how to call a Python function out of your DAG file, which is much cleaner. Then last but not least, you discovered how to get the context dictionary in order to share data between your tasks or get the current execution date, and how to use the TaskFlow API in order to make much cleaner code in your DAG. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you do, please subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, and I see you for another video. Take care.